Hello everyone, how's it going? So we're talking about Highguard again. So I saw this entire article being quote tweeted on my feed, and I was like, what is this? Because a lot of people are saying a lot of colorful things that I don't want to repeat for the sake of YouTube, because for some reason I'm given special treatment of what I can and can't say, unlike people like Tectone, which I don't get it, but it is the rules. But regardless, reflecting on shipping my first game. So this is Josh Sobel. He worked at Wildlight Entertainment for Highguard, and right now Highguard, it's basically dead at this point. They had mass layoffs for the game, and you can just tell by the Steam charts. Not good. Basically, the game is dead. When it was first revealed at the Game Awards, it was called Concord 2. They went completely radio silent with the game. They were trying to shadow drop it, apparently. And then I believe Paul Tassi is the one who came out revealing that the final slot at the Game Awards wasn't even something they paid for. It was given to them by Jeff because he loved the game so much. Which, by the way, I feel like they should have disclosed, because that just hurt their credibility so much more, on top of just not revealing any information. Then they had this huge marketing event with hand-picked influencers, and they provided like a trip, food, drinks, huge event, and they started mirroring a lot of talking points like they were reading from a script, similar to like Dragon Age the Veilguard AAA reviews, where they were saying a return to form. They didn't say that exactly, but they were mirroring a lot of talking points that a lot of people were like very questioning. And then when the game launched, well, it saw 100,000 players, then completely collapsed. In fact, like you can see from the player count right here, from Max, not a good sign. A lot of people didn't even finish the tutorial, because on Steam apparently they couldn't even log into servers, and on consoles it wasn't as good anyway. Like, I got about 85% of the achievements. Now the achievements are apparently glitched. Same thing for trophies. And yeah, exactly, it just didn't turn out well. And well, let's see this article and see what he has to say. Apologies for length. Been wanting to say this for a while. The day leading to the Game Awards 2025 was among the most exciting in my life. After 2.5 years of passionately working on Highguard, we were ready to reveal it to the world. The future seemed bright. Everyone I knew had connection to the team or project had the same sentiments. This is lightning in the bottle. I trust the team wholeheartedly. If there's one project nobody in the industry is worried will fail, it's yours. This has mainstream hit written all over it. There's no way this will flop. I could play this game all day. Alright, first off, this sounds like cherry picking, and on top of it, it also seems that these people were unwilling to give you the harsh feedback. Like, because if you have a player count of this, and it drops to this, 97,000 players, and it just goes from like one iteration to 39,000, you have a real problem. Which means these people were either lying to you, or they have bad taste. Look, people have bad taste all the time. I like games like Metroid Other M. I like the movie Grave Encounters. I've said this in Repeatum. These people were not giving you the harsh truth. And the fact they were co-workers and people you knew, maybe that's the situation, but I don't know. Like, it just seems that the popular consensus was not reflecting the playtest that this game desperately needed. They needed an alpha or beta to get actual feedback from consumers who have zero regard for what exactly happens to the studio. I know that seems harsh, but those are the people who are going to give you the raw information. Are they always going to be polite? Absolutely not. They're going to give you the most harsh, difficult to accept criticism you could possibly imagine, and sometimes they will be very cruel. This is the internet after all. The internal pre-reveal feedback, even from unbiased sources, was quite positive. Based on what you just conveyed here, this is a contradiction. It was constructive, often actionable. People who played the game, including us, had a blast. Well, of course you're gonna have a blast. You're the one making this project. You kind of have tunnel vision when it comes to making these games. That's why you need to get people without that any idea of what this game is. Just show it to them. That's why they have these playtests, to have people who know nothing about these games to give you some sort of feedback. And since we are independent, self-published studio built with royalties in mind, many of us were hoping this could finally be the thing that broke the millennium financial curse. Oh my god, don't say that. That's really cringe. And look, there's nothing wrong with having high hopes for your project that you've been pouring your heart and soul into, but this seems like you were extremely hubris. Like, no one is owed success in this world. You can have every marketing and technological advantage and still fail. Look at Call of Duty right now. Even though Black Ops 7 is one of the worst games ever rated in the franchise, it had every technical and marketing advantage you can imagine, and it still flopped hard. It had horrible AI, the campaign was garbage, the multiplayer was recycled. The zombies mode, even though a lot of people enjoyed it, still had the same issues that a lot of people just have been conveying about it. You are never owed success. It doesn't matter. Like, I hate to tell you that, and the only thing that matters is the consumer base. They're the ones who determine whether your game succeeds and fails. And based on this positive feedback that you were getting, it seems that you were ignoring all the warning signs that came with this game. People were very tired with live services. They were extremely tired of hero shooters. And unless you have something that really delivers on something or has an established fan base, it's going to be very hard for you to convince people to play this game. Like, the reason Overwatch is succeeding right now is because it already had a solid fan base. It had a solid community. So people were able to give it that bump back that it needed recently. And Deadlock is a brand new game that's in early access right now through Valve. I believe it's in an alpha, but it's a very fun game. Valve has proven themselves to be very successful, and on top of it, they don't need to market anything. It's on Steam, literally the biggest PC market on the planet. They don't have to do anything, but at the same time, the game is good, so there is that. And look, Highguard wasn't a bad game, but it was painfully average. I played over 15 hours of the game, so I can tell you right now, it was not a game that was going to pull people away from games like Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends, which you promoted as being the people who made those games working on this games, and then you removed it from the Steam summary after that came to light. I'm not sure why the reason that is. Hopefully it's not a Back for Blood situation where we learned that Valve actually played a huge role in making Left 4 Dead, not like Turtle Rock Studios did their job, but it was mostly because of Valve, and we saw the difference when it came to the quality of those two games. I don't know, it just seems that way in my opinion. But then the trailer came out, and it was all downhill from there. Content creators love to point out biased folks who give positive previews after being flown out for an event, but ignore the fact that when negative leaning context gets 10x engagement off the positive, there's just as much incentive to give into a disingenuous direction, whether conscientious or not. Okay, first off, everyone's entitled to their opinion, whether they play a game for 10 minutes or 10 hours. Steam has a very good aggregate review system where you can filter out whatever you want, from playtime to unlocking all the achievements to recent to most helpful, where people give badges to people who they felt were the most helpful for these reviews. So in that case, you can't really fault Steam. Steam has one of the best review systems out there, and it is the biggest PC market when it comes to first-person shooters, because most people who play first-person shooters hardcore play on PC. But nevertheless, it doesn't look good when you have the final slot at the Game Awards, and then you go radio silent, and the next big preview you have is a big marketing event where you flew out a bunch of people, gave them a lot of goodies, and told them to talk about the game. Guess what? A lot of people are not going to look to that and say, oh wow, these people said this game is good. It doesn't matter if they're a big content creator like, say, if Asmongold was flown out or Hassan Piker, they're still going to look at that with a grain of salt, because guess what? We've seen what happened with those types of preview events when it came to games like Payday 3 and Star Wars Outlaws. A lot of people are becoming more concerned about this, so they're obviously not going to take those opinions with the same grain of salt as someone who's just looking at what they're seeing right now, which, by the way, when you showed that trailer, it literally gave you little to no information of what this game even was, lore-wise, gameplay-wise. A lot of people were just like, what the heck is this? From the creators of Titanfall and Apex Legends, there are high expectations when you have stuff like that. Like, Apex Legends had high expectations, and it followed through with that because it did mirror a lot of the aspects that made Titanfall 2 incredible. Not all of them, but most of them. And when you have that, you're going to have to deliver on that. So I disagree with this wholeheartedly. Just because someone is negative about it doesn't mean they have to provide with you they have a right to their opinion. They don't owe you anything. Just like the positive reception was all positive because you flew them out to a huge event. It's like, what do you think was going to happen? The hate started immediately. In addition to dogpiling on the trailer, I personally came under fire due to my naivete on Twitter, which almost all my former co-workers had learned to avoid during their previous game launches. After my Twitter account to private and to protect my sanity, many content creators made videos and posts about me and my cowardice, amassed millions of views, and inadvertently sent hundreds of angry gamers into my replies. They laughed at me for being proud of my game, told me to get the McDonald's application, and mocked me for listing having autism in my bio, which seemed to think that it was evidence that the game would be woke trash. All of this was very emotionally taxing. Look, this is the internet. There are people who are just going to try and troll you, and they're going to expect you to get a response. The best thing to do is just to ignore it, but also take the constructive criticism where you can, because you are making a game that's dependent on player count. I believe one of the Highguard developers stated that player count does not matter. I explained that in a previous video. I'll link below. But regardless, like, there was a lot of just questionable decisions that came with this, and all of this was just very bewildering. The way you marketed this game, where it meant to be a shadow drop, Jeff Keighley gave it the final slot at the Game Awards, which was free, and neither you or Jeff Keighley announced that, which is very just crazy. Why not just tell everyone, hey, I believe in this game so much, I gave it for free, the final slot, at one of the biggest presentations in the entire world. Like, the Game Awards is bigger than the Super Bowl. So it's just a lot of just questionable decisions that were being made behind the scenes. You weren't taking feedback from actual people who weren't biased. You had this huge marketing event from people who obviously had an incentive to give positive feedback, seeing that they were at a paid event, and then you completely just didn't deliver on any type of marketing material of what this game was even about. Not even a playtest to show people, hey, this is the game, and to get actual constructive feedback from the larger gaming community. There was much constructive criticism that can be and has been said about Highguard's trailer, marketing, and launch, but I don't think it's my place to commentate on that. You're commentating on that a lot through this article already. I don't think that there's any way to know whether the launch would have fared better, worst, without the massive spotlight that was thrown onto us in response to the Game Awards trailer placement, but we never got that chance. I disagree. I think the game would have been worse off if it never got that trailer, because I think this game would have launched at maybe 10,000 people if it shadow dropped, and then it would have died quicker, because the reason it got the 97,000 players was because Jeff Keighley supported this game and gave you the free final slot. Let's just call the elephant in the room what it is. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And then he also had that very condescending tweet where he said, I will be accepting all apologies later. I bet he's regretting that tweet right now, but the internet runs 100 miles a minute, 100 miles a second, so likely a lot of people have forgotten that who are casual Andes instead of like hardcore gamers. But I like to not forget this stuff, because you have to hold certain people accountable for things like how with the WWE situation with their games and how they trashed their entire community and stuff like that. We were turned into a joke from when it won, largely due to false assumptions about a $1 million ad placement, which even prominent journalists soon began to state as fact. Again, you never disclosed that that free slot was provided. No one did. It came out in a report. Like, you can't fault people for assuming that you paid for it. You had no marketing material, and to advertise at the Game Awards is huge. It requires a lot of capital. So it's not against the people's opinion that they would assume that. Like, I don't understand where you get this argument from. Within minutes, it was decided the game was dead on arrival, and creators now had free rage bait content for a month. What are you talking about? People are free to talk about whatever they want on the internet. You can't regulate everything. People are, if a person doesn't like, for example, this can of Mountain Dew because of the coloration, they're free to say, I don't like it because of the color of the can. You can't force anyone to be like, hey, you have to be nice to these people. It's not how the world works. I'm sorry. Like, it's not a liberal arts college campus. You have to take things as they are. This is the world. It's a harsh place. Within minutes, it was decided that the game was dead on arrival, and creators had now free rage bait content for a month. Alright, we read that. Every one of our videos on social media got downvoted to hell. Comment sections were flooded with copy-paste meme phrases such as Concord 2 and Titanfall 3 died for this. At launch, we received over 14k review bombs from users less than an hour of playtime. Many didn't even finish the required tutorial. I already talked about this. People couldn't even get into the tutorial on Steam. On PC, it was just a hellscape where people couldn't find players. There were connection issues. On console, it fared better. I played it on Xbox. but there was still massive issues when it comes to this. And again, you guys promoted your game as from the creators of Titanfall and Apex Legends. There has a level pedigree that comes with that. That was your fault. You did that. And as for Concord, Concord is a cautionary tale for every game developer out there. It is one of the biggest failures in video game history, heck, entertainment history. Sony made $0 on that. All the reports that came out about toxic positivity with that game, how people refused to listen to feedback, how the characters looked like garbage. Like, that is a cautionary tale not to do that. Like, there should be a book released saying, this is the entire Concord development cycle. Don't do this. And you guys somehow replicated that despite, you know, saying that, hey, this game is supposed to be great, it's impossible to fail. In fact, those are your words from the people who tested this game. So, like, I'm sorry, but the first impression for games matter a lot. If people look at a trailer and they're not engaged with it, what do you think is going to happen when the game finally releases? And by the way, this is after the game releases, he wrote all this, which means we do have active feedback from a lot of people who've played this game. The review bombs have stopped, and now Steam has regulated reviews, and you can see here from the reviews, people are saying the same thing. Mid-game, not, it's average, doesn't really have anything that really stands out from the pack. Like, it just doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. Like, you have active feedback right now. People are telling you everything that you need to know why the game didn't work. The discussion online about Concord, Highguard, Concord 2XKO, and such, it's often pointed out by gamers that developers like to blame gamers for their failures, and that's silly, as if gamers have no power, but they do. Again, another contradiction here. You're saying don't blame gamers, but you are blaming gamers. Like, I don't get this. Like, gamers are your customers. You're making a video game. You're going to have to appeal to video games. This is like if a vegan opened a steakhouse. What did they know about steak? Or if, like, why are you attacking your customers? These are the people who are supposed to support you. They're not obligated to do anything. No customer needs to give you money and their time. It's up to the product to speak for themselves, and your game didn't do that. A lot of it, I'm not saying that our failure is purely at the fault of gamer culture and that the game would have thrived while negative discourse, but it absolutely played a role. Oh my. All products are at the whims of the consumer, and the consumers put absurd amounts of effort into slander and Highguard, and it worked. Absolutely not. I 100% disagree with this. Literally, you can look from actual gamers who played this game. Like, you can look at the achievements scores when it comes to this title on Xbox and PlayStation. The customers just found the game boring. There's nothing you can do about it. No game is owed success just because you put in a lot of time and effort. I remember when Fallout 76 came out, there was a lot of discourse about that game, and yes, it had a horrible launch. It's in a better state right now, but it was like the idea of, hey, just because you worked so long on something doesn't mean that people need to like it. It doesn't matter. Like, you can put weeks, months, years into something, and it could flop very hard. It reminds me of the Smiling Friends meme. Why don't they like it? We put $250 million into this. Well, because they don't have to. Many of Wildlight's former devs will now be forced to assimilate back into the actual corporate industry many gamers accuse Wildlight of being part of. Now, every time someone thinks about leaving the golden handcuffs behind in favor of making a new multiplayer game the indie way, they'll say, but I remember how gamers didn't give Wildlight a chance. Soon, if the pattern continues, all of that will be left our corporations, at least in the multiplayer space. Innovation is on life support. What the hell are you talking about? Golden handcuffs? You literally said that there was a millennium financial curse right here. I'm confused. What are you talking about? So are these people in a financial curse, or are they able to get a job that literally gives them golden handcuffs in the sense that they get paid hefty amounts of money, but they're tailored to this job that sucks their soul? Like, which one is true? On top of it, this is absolutely false. In fact, there you go. This game sold 14 million copies. Arc Raiders, $40 experience. It's a premium title, which means it's not even free to play. You have to pay to play this game. 14 million people have bought this game, and it's seen massive success. Like, so your opinion is completely contradicted by this game that came out recently, like last year on October 30th. People love this game. It's new, it's different, it's unique. It came from former Battlefield developers, and this is their second game, I believe. And this is self-published as well. The Finals was their other game, so this is their game, which also got positive reviews. So, actually, let's look at how much Arc Vaders is doing. Not here. Well, I guess that statement doesn't hold well right now. Let's look at the Finals, which is their other game. Self-published indie title. I believe that the Finals is. Let's check. Yep, publisher Inbox Studios. So 100% evidence does not complement this. Even if Highguard had a rocky launch, our independent self-published dev-led studio full of passionate people just trying to make a fun game with zero AI and zero corporate oversight deserve better than this. We deserve the bare minimum of not having our downfall be gleefully manifested. Okay, look, I can understand like this. Like, yeah, but welcome to the internet. There are a lot of very hateful people out there. There are a lot of people who get a kick out of just like trolling people, just making fun of the most insecure things about their lives, whether it's like they're saying like Rip Bozo or glad this is gone or the Concord timeline. I saw that on Twitter. Look, this is life. It's just how things go. There are going to be people who are jackasses in life. And on top of it, you're also kind of acting like a jackass. You're not owed anything. Just because you were independent, self-published, dev-led studio does not mean anything. It doesn't. It doesn't matter if a game came from EA Sports, Activision Blizzard, or Sandfall Entertainment. Gamers will vote of what games succeed and what fails. You can't force someone to play your game. You can't force them to give positive reception even if they don't like the game. You can't force them to give you their money. You can't. Like, at the end of the day, the market is more competitive than it's ever been before. Anyone can literally build and publish a game right now. They can literally learn all the skills on the internet right now through YouTube tutorials and active tutorials from third-party websites. They can buy a computer and make their own game and publish it on Steam, and the consumers will determine whether it's success or not. That's how the world works. None of this determines your success, and considering that you guys did not take feedback accordingly, took it from very biased sources, and then when the game launched was not able to handle the level of criticism and feedback, is just, I'm sorry. Like, this is, you guys kind of did, this was your making. Like, at the end of the day, you had sky-high expectations for the game being promoted by the creators of Titanfall and Apex Legends. And then you guys' only marketing material before the game launched was flying out a bunch of influencers to a private event and having them say some very bizarre things that felt very hollow and disingenuous. Does not look good. It just doesn't. I wish the best of the few who remain at Wildlight and hope Highguard can stay the course. It's not. I'm sorry. Like, here's the hard truth. The game is dead. I'm not going to sugarcoat this like your friends and family did for when the game was being provided. It's just how things are. A lot of games on Steam never even make back the money that they give to Valve for the publishing on their platform. Like, it's how life operates. You can work hard your entire life and then end up still working at a fast food joint. You can say, hey, I want to be a doctor, and then one day you have a bad day and then suddenly you lose your medical license. Bad things happen. Doesn't mean that you can't pick yourself up and try again. But the way that you are going about this, it makes you feel, you sound like those characters from The Big Bang Theory. The ones where they constantly criticize about being bullied and then end up being just as big of a bully to other people. Like, you're being the same toxic gamers that you said completely destroyed the game that you first delivered on the same principles that they were trying to shut down your game. Like, say the most trolly, most disingenuous, the most vexing person on the planet who just played 1 minute of this game so they can leave a negative review about it. You're acting like that person. I wish the best of luck for the few who remain at Wildlife and hope Highguard can stay the course. I still believe in it, and so do the fans who reached out, who continue to champion on subreddit, Discord, social media, and all that. And then he gives a list. You're literally just fortifying your statement about how people just gave you this echo chamber of feedback, and then you're mirroring this right here. This entire article is so poorly written, full of contradictions. It just comes from such a biased take, which is ironic because he said that the feedback from unbiased takes said the game was great. It's just like, look, Highguard is not a bad game, but it's average, and in the market that it is today, it's being average is actually bad. Like, people are just tired of average experiences. Like, the execution was poor, the game was slow and boring. The only mechanic that people really loved was the raid portion, and even then, like, it just didn't do it for them. Like, a lot of players, they just left. Like that famous clip from Tim the Tatman and Ninja, when they were playing the game and their literal plug said, "This game is so boring, I can't play anymore," and they left. I'm sorry. Like, this is how things are, the way it is. But yeah, the way I see this is that basically this game was poorly marketed. It was given every type of biased coverage you can possibly imagine. It didn't have the level of complexity that it was trying to deliver on. It was banking on previous acolytes like Titanfall and Apex Legends success, and then when it finally was delivered to the public sphere, people were just like, I'm not really having fun with this. I'm going to go back and play the game that I want to have fun with. No one's going to put 10 plus hours into a game. No one's going to put in 6 or 7. It's like what Josh Strife Hayes said. If I have to put 100 hours into a game for it to get good, then there's no point of playing it, because that means I have to sacrifice 100 hours of boredom and frustration just to get to the good part. No one wants that. No one wants to deal with that. It's like, say, for example, like the tutorial. People didn't finish the tutorial. It's because the tutorial was boring, trivial, and annoying. Like, yeah, you need to learn those critical mechanics, but there have been hundreds of games out there that have delivered very sound, effective tutorials without the player ever knowing there was a tutorial. The biggest example being Super Mario Bros. Literally, the first level teaches you all the mechanics you need to know. Most Resident Evil games have brilliant tutorials where they teach you everything within the first hour of the game without you even knowing it. You learn it through gameplay, but this game forces it through you, down your throat, and then by the time you're done, which takes around 20 minutes, I have a walkthrough for that 20 minutes of you going through a tutorial. Tell me, would you go, like, I actually want to know this if you got this far in the video. Would you spend 20 minutes on the tutorial in order to play a game? Just wondering. Like, simple yes or no answer. That is your fault. This is a gameplay issue. This is a game development issue. Your game just didn't resonate with the larger audience, and ultimately it fell through. The product failed, and no one owes you success. At the end of the day, there's a reason why games like Expedition 33 was a huge success, and right now Mutagenics is a huge success. Like, Mutagenics isn't my cup of tea, but a lot of people are enjoying that game. It's because you make a good game, people will play it, they will watch their favorite streamers play it, and then they'll be like, you know what, this game looks like something I want to play. Because here's the other thing that he doesn't really convey that I just thought of right now. We're living in an extremely difficult time financially for a lot of people. Jobs are being sucked up everywhere because of AI. Everything's going up the prices because of AI, and at the end of the day, people just don't have the same level of dollar to spend. Like, yeah, you can say this is a free-to-play game, but they also don't have the time. Time is a hugely valuable commodity. You never get back time. No matter how hard you try, time is finite. You only have a certain amount of it. And if a person is like, hey, I just came back from a load of interviews, passing out random resumes, going out just looking for a job, and I want like 5 minutes or even 20 minutes just to do something that I can enjoy, are they going to spend it with this game, or are they going to spend it doing something they enjoy? Like, that's how a person's going to look at that stuff. They're going to look, will I play Arc Raiders? Will I read the Harry Potter novel again because I enjoy it? Am I going to listen to my favorite music? You're always fighting with so many other things nowadays. It's not like in the 1990s, which I assume, like, I'm old. I'm 36 years old. Like, back in the day, you didn't have the same luxuries as you did today. Literally, if I wanted to watch The Simpsons, which was one of my favorite TV shows of all time, I had to wait until 7 o'clock to watch that show. Like, if I had we got a VCR eventually, which allowed us to record stuff through some, like, to say fun, like, some mechanics. But nowadays, you can literally just turn on YouTube and then watch The Simpsons and whenever you want. You can listen to whatever music you want. Linkin Park all the time. I love Linkin Park. But yeah, this guy just, I don't think he gets it. And based on everything he stated here, he's acting like the same toxic gamers that he's blaming for the downfall of Highguard. Either way, this video has gone on long enough. It's like 29 minutes, dear God. But I've read this article. I gave my take. take it for what it is, but that's how I see it. And this is someone who's played about 15 hours and more of Highguard, both the 3 versus 3 and the 5 versus 5 mode. So I've played a lot of this game, so I have my own opinion on it. But tell me yours in the comments below. That's it for me. Have a good day.